Mama Mondays is sponsored by Colorado Connected, a website full of ideas for parents. And now, here are the mamas.
It is a brand new week, everybody. Welcome to Mama Mondays. And of course, my lovely ladies are back to share all things parenting. It is Grace Markley, Diane is here, and Sarah Lenti is also at the table. How are you guys?
Great.
Okay, we're going to take on the topic of codependency because this is something that came up with you, Grace, and I was like, okay, we're going to talk about this and see what's going on with Grace Markley over here. So,
sure.
When you say codependency, what does that mean? Because I feel like it could be different things.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to define it. In my life, I think it's, you ever heard the phrase, you're only as happy as your least happy child?
Yes.
Okay, there's some of that there. It's also when my own happiness feels completely contingent on another person's. So it's the same way of saying, the same sentiment. And I have a really codependent relationship with my daughter. And I work on it all the time. And her when she's upset, I'm upset, and I can't really separate myself from her, and then I end up spending a lot of time trying to please her, and so this cycle, perpetuates itself, and it can be really unhealthy.
Yeah,
so I'm working on it all the time.
I see where you're going with that. What I find interesting is because you've got a son too, right?
Yeah.
But it's there with your daughter.
It is.
Have you ever sat and just really said, why though? Like what? Why are her and I so tied in that way?
I think I probably just see a lot of myself in her, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel really connected to her in that way. I think my mother and I had a similar relationship. So we're just kind of perpetuating history. What about you guys? I'm curious.
What, did you ever go through any codependency? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be with the kids, but what?
I mean, I'm for sure that there's codependency there. I mean, I honestly don't know life without them. Like I remember my childhood and stuff, but if I go back and I think about my life, it's included them since I was,
you were very young,
I've been a mom since I know I always talk about being a young mom, but I think I'm just codependent on humans. I've never lived alone. So I'm terrified of living alone. I just love people. So when I get in my car, I call somebody. I think I'm just codependent.
On people.
On people.
Is that a thing? Person.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, but that's a good thing, though.
I need people around me. Yeah. I don't like to be alone. I love,
Okay, well, how do you feel when you're suddenly left at home, alone, no one around? Like, what's
I'll
that
find something to do. Yeah, no, nobody's doing that.
Okay.
And not that, I meditate, I do all of that, so I can be alone, but I don't choose to be alone. It's not something that I'm like, you know what, I need some alone time.
Diane, I feel like you're someone who loves to be connected.
Yeah.
Like when you're in connection with another person is when you feel the most alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm happy, my whole soul.
I believe in connection.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Sarah, I want to bring you in because you are like, and because I know you so well, but I think you are the opposite of what Diane just said, right?
I am. And I know we've talked about this before.
Yet they get along extremely well.
No, and I think it's honestly a problem of mine. Like I've thought about why have I been alone my whole life? I've chosen to live alone. I've always been alone. Through college, I was alone. And it was a choice. If you asked me tonight, you can go out with your kids and have dinner, you can go sit with yourself and have dinner, you can go out with a group of girlfriends, it would be myself.
Okay.
And I can't explain why. I don't know, but that's where I feel the most comfortable and in tune. And yeah, I think it's a deeper problem that I haven't figured out. No, I do. I do. I think there was a lot of insecurity growing up.
Okay.
And so I just would focus on doing like studying or piano or running or, and that was where I found approval.
Okay, so you feel like...
I felt I needed to feel like I was doing something well, and I didn't feel that from other people.
You've always been really independent, it sounds like.
Yeah,
very independent.
You are super independent and a power mom. Like, let's give yourself a lot of credit.
But then I look at the whole world and I think, why is I'll go out and I'll say everybody's coupled up. What's wrong with me? And
I look at you and I see this really strong, independent
But I'm
woman
not.
who's raising two
I'm
incredible
actually
boys.
very not. I mean, I am independent, but I feel small inside.
Okay.
So you probably crave connection. Would you say that, or do you want
Yeah,
connection?
but I don't believe I'm going to find it. Oh. So
Well, maybe that's the problem, Sarah.
I don't know.
That you just don't
There's like a
believe you're
fear.
going to
There's-
find it.
I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a friend like that. We
Yeah.
call her the cactus.
Oh.
Because she's completely self-contained.
Yeah.
She has everything she needs within herself, and she rarely reaches
This
out
is
for
so
help. She
interesting.
doesn't want to depend on another person, and to her, that's vulnerability.
Yeah, there have been so many times where I've needed help this year.
Yeah.
And forget it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and you and I are going to talk a little bit later because
Yeah.
all
well,
need
no,
to talk.
and
Yeah.
this is and it doesn't make you
No, but I just
anything
I
other
feel
than that's just
less.
who you
I'm like, I
are.
can't believe I have to. I need help like this. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a compliment when a friend asks me for help. I really love it. You know, maybe try to flip the script.
Yeah.
okay. I feel you.
Yeah, and I did ask you once
I
this
feel
year.
you
I
because
said I needed your help.
Sarah and I have been through very similar struggles as single moms for a very long time with two kids in a
Yes.
big city where I really knew nobody when I got here, and then I went through a divorce. But through that divorce, I realized that I was codependent on my ex-husband, extremely codependent. So when he suddenly leaves, I'm like, oh my gosh, he did everything. But
he didn't.
It didn't really stop me from becoming who I am today. It made me realize that I was kind of controlled.
Yeah.
You know, I was lost in all that because he was doing everything, and that was not necessarily good. And I'm just so happy with where I'm at today.
Yeah.
So I've been through the codependency, and it
Yeah.
don't think it was a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Well, we need to talk.
I know.
Yeah, Sarah,
Us ladies
we're
need to get
talking.
together.
We're
But
talking.
look,
Yeah, we need to get it together.
Everybody has
We
got
are here for
I
you.
still like to go out by myself.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I go to movies by myself.
I get that
do
too.
I do. I love going
I
to
know, I
movies
hear
by
you that.
myself.
So weird.
No, we're not.
You're
we're not.
Okay, everybody. Look, here's how I'm going to close today's Mama Mondays. It doesn't matter how you do things, who you do things with. What matters is that you love who you are, where you are in life, and that's one thing you cannot forget ever. So if you've got any questions, you've got anything you want to share, send it our way. We would love to hear from you. mycoco@9news.com. And we'll see you next time on Mama Mondays. I love you.